My industry news number 9 article concerns Lionsgate, the studio that produced films. This year, according to Variety.com, Lionsgate has been taking a nosedive as far as revenue at the box office. 7 consecutive films, which includes the reboot of Crow and Borderlands, did not do well in the box office, and therefore Lionsgate is kind of losing out on money. After last year, they released films like the prequel of Hunger Games, which was titled Battle of Songbirds and Snakes, and the 4th chapter of the John Wick franchise done well for them. And this year, it has not been the case. The article pointed out that last year, the motion picture group chair was Joe Drake. In January of this year, they switched to Adam Fogelson, which probably could have played a role in why the films haven't done well. He greenlighted those films that have been labeled box office duds. The article on Variety.com also points out that even though Lionsgate can cater to the underserved audience for like African Americans and faith-based groups like Christians, they don't really have the capital, they don't really have the money to compete with the tech giants and the bigger film studios such as Universal or Warner Brothers. They don't have that ability to keep up with them, and that could spell trouble for them going forward in the future. Also, the article states that next year in 2025, they will release John Wick prequel, Now You See Me 3, films like that have been staples in the Lionsgate studio company, and that could boost their revenue up. The article ends with facts stating that the film industry as a whole have been suffering as far as box office numbers, with the revenue domestically here in the United States have gone down by 11% in comparison to 2023. The most affected by this is obviously Lionsgate. The article kind of took on what I called an ominous tone, saying that if this continues, they may not be able to recover, and then that could spell danger as far as like producing those high quality big action films that have gotten them revenue, such as John Wick, such as Hunger Games, and we could see a downward shift as far as Lionsgate being able to compete with the bigger studios. Actors that have performed under Lionsgate, like Keanu Reeves and Jennifer Lawrence, at the end of their contracts, could move on, could go to bigger studios like Warner Brothers. And also, now we see in media, not only just, TV and music, we could see monopolies happen in the film industry. Lionsgate could sell their company to one of those bigger names like Universal, and then that could create just another monopoly. We could see Lionsgate lessen the number of films that they produce and go to a single digit number. They usually produce around 11 films a year and put them out, but we could see them go to maybe like 4 or 5. The one question I do have for Lionsgate is, even though that they're experiencing downturn, should they continue to be patient? Like I said earlier, they're going to release the prequel of John Wick, the franchise. They're going to release Now You See Me 3. Those could help them, go back up and be able to stay competitive as far as the market. But if they don't do well, which in my personal opinion, I expect them to, but if they don't do well, then should Lionsgate then start thinking about different business practice. Like for instance, they can go to more of the independent circuit and just create new stars instead of bringing in the bigger stars. That could cut down on production costs. That could cut down on paying actors a high amount of money, and they could be a leader as far as like producing indie films, bringing in independent filmmakers, and making them a household name under Lionsgate. Lionsgate still have the name behind them to attached to a independent filmmaker's reputation and kind of up the ante for them. But could we see Lionsgate film become an independent circuit and separate themselves from the bigger studios, not compete directly with them? I think that's a question that could be answered rather soon.